Hi, welcome back. Now look, imagine hitting pause on your career, not decades from now, but far, far sooner. What would you do with all that freedom? We are talking today about the rise of micro-retirements, or sabbaticals, as maybe they're better known. Gen Z are big fans, but it's a big thing with mid-career workers too. A rejuvenating break, meaningful time for non-work projects, maybe travel or even education. So unlike traditional retirement, micro-retirements offer that chance to hit pause more than once. So if you've ever wondered whether taking a break mid-career might boost your happiness and productivity, you're in the right place.
I'm not seeing people that are getting paid for those sabbaticals.
So they say you can take the time, but
Yes.
you're on your own.
It's great, all good and well saying I want to take a sabbatical, I want to take an early retirement, but not actually know how much you're going to need for that financially.
One worrying aspect from mine is I thought I was going to come back and then potentially them say they don't need me anymore because they would have been able to cope without me.
We're talking about the rise of micro-retirements, and here with me I have Ola Majekodunmi. She's the founder of financial literacy platform All Things Money, and when she's not inspiring the next generation of savvy savers, she is off travelling the world. Lauren Spearman is with us too. She's become a bit of a TikTok sensation, championing pay transparency and urging employers to treat their people better. And from PensionBee, we're joined by Tom Carter. He has already taken a sabbatical. Last year, he took 3 months out from his senior performance marketing manager job at PensionBee and backpacked through South America. Hello, everyone.
Hello. What an intro.
Thanks for having us.
Here's the usual disclaimer just before we start. Please do remember anything discussed on the podcast shouldn't be regarded as financial advice or legal advice. And when investing, of course, your capital is at risk. So, Tom, I am so envious. How was it?
It was fantastic. It was, I think, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Nice to get away and to see something that you don't see all the time.
Where did you go?
So I was in South America, I flew out to Brazil, and then I kind of like horseshoed down and around. So Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Bolivia and Peru.
Have you guys done this?
I haven't been travelling on a sabbatical, but I did take 3 months off to renovate a flat. So in between jobs, I was very fortunate that I had a new job offer and said, look, can I delay the start by 3 months because I'm going to throw my all into a flat renovation. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I just learned so many new skills about project management, about managing my patience with builders, all sorts of lovely stuff. Yeah, I'm really grateful to have that time to give it the headspace.
That's a hard deadline for you. Did you get it done in time?
I did, and I started the job 2 days after I moved in.
Wow.
Oh, like you've done lots of little trips, haven't you?
Yes, I am big on taking mini career breaks throughout the year. So I haven't as such done a traditional sabbatical, but I do love taking breaks in the form of travelling whenever I can.
So how long do you go for?
Anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks, but I did do a month working abroad in Bali at the beginning of this year as well.
Okay, that sounds all right.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
So, Tom, is there actually any hard data on how big this is?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely becoming more mainstream. There was a study just about the general kind of workforce, I think, and I think it's 1 in 3 are now considering a mini retirement,
Wow.
about 1 to 3 months. So
That is very high. Do we know about the number of people who've already done it?
26% of people have taken a sabbatical, and I can imagine that number for both of those
Increasing.
is only going to increase further.
It's not always travel, though, is it?
No, and interestingly, I was chatting to a friend about this recently, and she was saying she actually took a sabbatical because she was going through IVF, and actually she took it as a fertility break. And I think having that time to almost give herself the headspace and that kind of looking after herself physically and mentally, and then go, actually, what do I want to do, and how do I want to live my life, and can I, set myself up for the best fertility journey I may have going through IVF.
I mean, this all sounds great, but I mean, do you tend to get paid? Do companies offer usually to pay?
As part of my portfolio career, I'm a marketing consultant. I have a client at the moment that offers sabbaticals after 5 years, I believe it is. I'm not seeing people that are getting paid for those sabbaticals.
So they say you can take the time, but you're on your own.
Yeah.
How long can you take?
Anywhere up to 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So most people kind of tend to take one, just
Yeah.
because it feels like it's a manageable amount to take off, given that you're not going to be earning in that time.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, what was your experience of that?
Yeah, I think just adding, I think like 1 month, I feel like it's quite common. I think it's also a way of not using all your annual leave. Like we've, especially if you take it earlier in the year, I think it can be a bit scary if you're, fully employed that you might use, a big chunk of your annual leave. So I think the sabbatical is a good option to give you a bit more flexibility. In terms of my experience, PensionBee policies, you get 3 months after 3 years of service with them.
Right.
And I actually took the full 3 months and then added on a bit of annual leave for like a week, I think, when I
Wow.
was enjoying myself a little bit. So I took a bit longer.
I can see why you would.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to do that stuff sooner. And also there is always that thing that, if you do wait right until you're like properly older, you might not be in good shape to do it. You never know, do you?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think as well as me having that more financial stability, the job security, I could hike up Machu Picchu, which was fantastic, and that was a 5-day trip. I went into the Amazon, and it just gave me the opportunity to really go on maybe some of these longer trips that I wouldn't be doing in 20, 30, 40 years.
So physical hardship trips.
Yeah,
you know,
so
the
true.
one-
Like, even when I went to Japan, we were doing like 25,000 steps a day. Like, it is a lot. And I, in my 20s, was struggling. And so, yeah, I think maybe that's something that people are considering as well.
I mean, I think we're all thinking we're going to work longer, aren't we? And
Yep.
Do you think it's stemming from that, Lauren, this whole idea that, our attitude to work, it's different now, it's probably going to be longer?
Yeah, I think so. And if you think about, the traditional working pattern of a 9 to 5 with a 2-day weekend, that's been in place for 100 years and it hasn't evolved since then. So the thought of, I'm 41 now, but the thought of working for another almost 30 years at the rate I am with no pause, where's the fun in that? And actually, I've got a lot of friends in my 60s and 70s, in their 60s and 70s that retired, and I see how much fun they're having. I'm like, I don't want to wait until I'm that age to have that fun. How can I have those micro moments, and intentional pauses, which I think is really motivating.
Yeah, because it is that thing, isn't it? Particularly if you're thinking about doing something maybe educative, maybe or skills based or something. I mean, later, fine. I'm not saying lifelong learning, that's great, but quite handy to do that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so I was backpacking. I think sort of adding on to that, I think when I was younger, I was always envisioning the FIRE movement, work hard, finish early, and then go and do this travelling. But I think got to a situation where after, being in the career for, I suppose, around 10 years working, it gave me opportunity where I had that financial stability. I didn't have any family commitments, that I had the job security as well. So I could spend a bit more money, a bit more comfortable, and then come back to a job as well and not have to, then be struggling to find a job as well. So
yeah, that FIRE movement you talked about, it was a thing, wasn't it? It was a big thing. This was financial independence, retire early, which, sounds great and obviously nothing wrong with it. But this sounds like a new iteration of it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, partly it's probably down to the sacrifices you need to make for that. I think myself, I live in London, it's getting more and more expensive. And I think I wasn't ready to commit to that, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because obviously first time buying, people are buying their own homes. That's getting later and later. 35, I think, is the average age now, isn't it? Some people are just taking they are not going to do it because they know they're not going to be able to amass enough deposit to even think about that. And we had talked on the podcast before about what are they doing with that money, that otherwise they'd be stashing for a deposit. Do you think maybe that's playing into this too, that thinking, okay, well, I'm going to save for that instead?
I think it's about balance for a lot of the people I've met and I work with. I think it's about being in a process of being really witty and smart with your money, but also enjoying the little wins as well. And if that little win means you can save an extra £3,000 just to go away travelling for 2 weeks, then I think a lot of people will like to go down that route, as well as also still saving for their property and saving for retirement. I think a lot of young people, especially in the era of social media where we're constantly being told to save and invest and retire, soon.
It's you telling them to do that, Ola.
Yeah, it's me. I'm not going to lie, I'm guilty of that. But I think it's also about making that process enjoyable, and that process becomes enjoyable because you can enjoy those little wins along the way. And I think some people are in a privileged position where they can kind of do a little bit of both.
Did you have rent then? So
yeah.
What did you do?
I think it is a big burden. I think one of the little things I deliberately made a point of, so PensionBee, it's 3 months unpaid, but I deliberately made a point of going mid-month. So what it meant is I got half a paycheck in August and then half a paycheck in November. So that was a little bit, I was able to find someone to come in and sublet as well, which definitely helped.
Did you come back with a big debt?
It wasn't too bad, no. I had my pot that I'd saved up for as well. So I wasn't, completely sort of walking home. There was a bit of money left, which is good.
I think that's what we're finding. Well, that's what I'm seeing as well in terms of young adults that I've been saving for 5-6 years, but actually is home ownership my immediate goal? No, it's not. And I think that's what a lot of people are realising. So I think a lot of people are sitting there thinking, okay, where do I actually want to go in life? Is it retiring early? Is it just making sure I've got just some investments but I can still live in the now? And so I think a lot of people are really reassessing those societal norms.
I'm probably guilty of that. You look on social media, I was comparing to my friends. I think relationships plays a part. Like my friends at home growing up outside of London, they were all in longer term relationships. They're going to be buying together. So, where you've got that aspect, I wasn't.
Different
and
life
then
stage.
exactly, you move to London, house prices suddenly, are a lot higher. I was saving for my first house. And then after a while, it was a bit of hang on, let's step back a minute here.
And having done that, still feels like a good choice to you now.
Completely, yeah, 100%. I think it was nice to have that break, and and I think I think the stat is that 96% of people who take a sabbatical or a mini retirement come back feeling more refreshed. I think it can give them some fresh ideas. So I definitely felt like I came back and was ready to then jump back into work and really push on with that. I think it gave me that nice reset as well.
Do you think that stat? Do you think that's related to people that leave a job where they feel valued, they feel like they matter, they feel like they're connected to the purpose? Or actually, I wonder if you don't feel any of that. You actually do come back rejuvenated, but rejuvenated to leave.
I think there's probably quite a lot of that, don't you? Because whenever you travel, don't you find this? You come back and you're just full of ideas.
Yeah.
Because you've got out of that grind.
Yeah.
And then often it is I hate this job.
Yeah. I've definitely had jobs where if I'd have taken a sabbatical, I would have loved to have come back because I love the job. And then other places that would have kind of made me go, actually, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
You see, that brings me very neatly to my next question, because I am going to show a little bit of shade of this and say, what do employers make of it? Because I'm thinking, is there that thing where they're thinking, you want 3 months off? I mean, maybe we offer it, maybe we don't. But, what does that say about your commitment?
I think good employers are actually starting to bring that in as part of the benefits package.
Yes.
Because I think they know that if their staff are treated well, they feel like they matter, they have autonomy over the work they do, they feel, all of that, they feel valued.
So I guess my thought might be then, what would be the best way to frame it on your CV? So if you're thinking about future employers, that gap.
If it's a sabbatical in the workplace where you're in a place where it has been offered as a benefits package, I don't think
That's
it
all good.
necessarily needs to
Yeah.
be disclosed on your CV. I also don't think there's necessarily an issue in terms of taking career breaks in between jobs where you've just decided to go travelling, because I think people often overlook the skills and how much you develop when travelling. I don't know about you, Tom, when you went backpacking, but I always come back learning something new, and some when I've gone backpacking. There's so many things you can bring into that when you're in the interview process.
As someone that's hired plenty of times before, I would have been really interested to be like, what did you do?
Yes.
What did you learn in that time? What did you take away from it? I think it's a real, I think it can be a real positive thing if you are an employer that wants to hire ambitious, driven people.
I agree. I think it's becoming very mainstream. I think there's probably less questions asked.
I was actually in a meeting yesterday, and there were some stats around like the more autonomy someone has over their work, the more engaged they are as an employee. So actually being able to make that choice is a net positive.
It's very empowering. Yeah. Play devil's advocate here and say, if you're an employer, particularly a small employer, this is not an easy thing to give, is it? Because if you've got a small team and someone disappears, even for a month, that's quite tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think sometimes that will be based on duration of how long you've been in the business, right? Because 5 years is a long time to work in a business to have a month off. And actually the reality is that month will go incredibly quickly. But it also allows the employer to plan for that as well. So how would they cover that? How would they make that work? The success comes in the planning.
Yeah.
There is quite a lot of planning, isn't there? Because I'm thinking if you're a small to medium-sized company, obviously most employers are in this country, and this happens, and then the person comes back and they say, it was so great, and then everyone wants to do it. And then you've got this kind of repeating pattern of short absences, which could be quite tricky to handle for a business.
I think one way to look at it is, I also think there's that retention element where I think someone may look at taking that mini retirement, whereas if you switch it to a sabbatical, I think the cost there is to train or hire a new person could be quite high, whereas if the original person is coming back, and I think that can be beneficial. So they're not having to put a job advert up, hire someone probably on a higher salary potentially, and then train them up to know about the company and the role specifically. If you're getting the original candidate back, then I think that can help. I guess you could potentially flip it as well and think it's an opportunity for other people in the company to learn new skills and more about that individual's role.
Yeah, or cover a more senior role briefly.
So I think that was an element of mine, I guess.
Was it?
Yeah, I suppose one worrying aspect from mine is I thought I was going to come back and then potentially them say they don't need me anymore because they would have been able to cope without me.
Oh,
so
that would have been bad.
It was.
We thought about that.
It was a bit comforting.
You're still here.
I'm still here.
Particularly if you're on contract, that would be a thought in your head, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Short contract work. Like, do they really need me? They've discovered actually I'm an expensive luxury and they don't need me.
Exactly. So thankfully that didn't happen.
Okay, I'm going to say self-employed because you're self-employed, right?
Yes.
So this is obviously it's a different ball game, isn't it? No employer to fall back on.
No.
Tell me about organising work and how it works for scheduling work when you come back, and all those things that you need to think about.
So when you're self-employed, I feel like it can be very easy to start the year in January, get to December and never taken a day of annual leave. And so whilst everyone is always down my neck about the fact that I'm always travelling, I do feel like that's the most efficient way for me to actually take a break, because I work from home. If I'm ill or I want a day off, I'm still at home with my laptop where I can still see all my social media notifications, I can see all my LinkedIn messages, I can see all my emails. And so I do need to kind of take a step back. So when it comes to planning that, I do need to plan months ahead. One, just from a financial standpoint, because I'm just like, okay, this is at least 2 weeks where I'm not earning any money. Also to just let my clients know that I'm actually going away.
How do they tend to take to that?
Absolutely fine. And I think the more notice you give them, sometimes it can be good because they at least know, but sometimes it can be bad because then they're like, okay, can you get all of this done before we go?
Mountain of work.
Literally. In the new year, I want to go travelling in February for 2 weeks, go to Sri Lanka. But I have to plan, okay, what does that look like in terms of social media content, the podcast? Do I have episodes going live there? Do I need to let clients know in terms of any brand work, coaching? So I started planning that in November, but I'm not planning on going away until February. So yeah, there's a lot of planning that goes into it.
Yeah, this sounds familiar to me because I'm self-employed too. Been self-employed for years, and as you said, I first took time out. I took about 3 months out of my 20s and went to China and Southeast Asia, and it was great. But at that stage, being young and not so smart, I really had not thought very hard about what I was going to do when I came back. So I came back to a really no work, no money. Taught me a valuable lesson. Didn't do that again. But it is lovely, isn't it? Be able to kind of schedule. But I think more planning for the self-employed, obviously.
Definitely.
That's the thing you have to do.
Just on that as well, sorry. So I found when I was away, I was fully switched off, delete all the work, emails, apps, everything from my phone, which was fine.
Yeah.
I'd said if there's an emergency, then they can contact me, but we're very good. With yourself, with your clients, like you were saying, you can plan ahead. Did you find yourself wanting to check messages and emails and stuff? Or
did they send you stuff regardless?
I'm very strict. So I have my out of office on, and then I delete the mail app, delete LinkedIn. Instagram's really hard because I use LinkedIn. I use Instagram for work and pleasure. So Instagram's always on, but I kind of share more of the highlights of my holiday and what I'm getting up to. But yeah, everything else is just incognito, which is sometimes really needed because you don't realise how much your brain is always on when you're self-employed. So
okay, you're bolder than I am.
Yeah.
I always have my stuff just ticking away, just in the corner of my eye.
Sometimes I'm kind of like, oh, should I download it? But I'm like, nah.
I need to take a leaf out of your book because I'm self-employed and I'm about to take my first period of a month off. And similar to you, this has been a long, probably about 3 months in the making. Yeah. And I have been working ridiculous hours, which is not something I glamorise. I always say I don't have a dream job, I have a dream lifestyle and work can facilitate it. And that is really motivating for me. But I am quite nervous about taking that time off. I think I won't necessarily do any client-facing work, but there's still business, admin, lots of bits and pieces. So I brought in a virtual assistant and I've kind of said, if there's money on the table, an email comes in, there's money on the table, obviously let's talk. But there's a lot of guilt of well, I might still work and is that okay? And, actually maybe that does calm my nervous system to go, I'm going to spend 15 minutes just reading my emails in the morning so then I can switch off. Yeah. But it's that mental preparation is almost just as tough as the financial preparation too.
Yeah, always. And I think you're always thinking, oh my gosh, the business is going to burn to the ground when you come back. But then I feel like if you never take that break, when will you?
You're right. Ideally, you should definitely step away. I want to talk about financial planning. So you're about to do this. So
yes,
tell us how you've said about that.
What I have done is say yes to pretty much everything that's come my way over the last few months.
Stashing the cash.
Yeah, but I have also moved things back so that I know when I come back in February, March, there's things lined up.
Yes.
Which makes me feel much more secure. I have a runway. I'm not, if I came back and nothing else comes in for the next couple of months,
that would be so
fine.
stressful. Otherwise, not knowing you had anything to come back to.
That is giving me peace of mind.
And your clients and the people you work with.
Yeah, I have. So some clients I've worked with have extended contracts. I'm like, just so you know, these are the dates I'm away.
And they're okay with this?
Yeah. And I think I was expecting the panic. I'm like, actually, they will be fine without me.
It's like you said. I'm not sure that's really very good news, but you kind of, it swings around a bit.
And having that financial cushion, so God forbid if you didn't have any work for a month when you came back, you don't have to stress. And so, I always make sure I have at least X amount of months runway, so even if I wasn't going on holiday, I'll always have that to fall back on.
Maybe the trick would be to add at least another month or two in your mind to your financial planning, and that either leaves you gloriously well off when you come back, or not frightened, at least, of the debt.
Yeah, it's like with any big project, right? You'd always add a contingency.
Yeah.
And so it's almost the equivalent, why not do the same with the sabbatical too?
Yeah, no, exactly that. I think, in terms of the savings, I deliberately made a conscious effort for that. The pension, I've always made an effort to up, a couple of percentages on the, how much I'm contributing to that. So, yes, like I said, I'd love to retire, at 40 or whatever, but it's not going to happen for me. But I would always made an effort to still be thinking about that whilst I'm doing it, and kind of, you're not sort of giving up on retiring at any point. We are all still living for longer and need to still think about that even with these micro retirements.
I'm just going to ask about our future selves. We've been talking about looking at the now, but we're a savings and investments podcast here. So I'm going to say this is all great, but we do really want to keep those rolling. Did you bring down your pensions and savings contributions when you went away, or did you just ditch them?
So when we were away, they stopped. So I wasn't earning any salary or any of my anything into my pension. But it was, like I say, in terms of the planning for it in advance, I was saving more into my pension and still do that now, to help for that in the future.
So you front loaded it?
Yeah, front loaded it. Still do that now. I think, like you were saying, in terms of I'm always saving for that. Yes, you've got your emergency pot, but also for these experiences. And we've spoken a lot, I think, about travelling, but I think it's more about whether it's self-development. Do you just want time off? Do you want to renovate your house, maybe spend time with your family, depending where you're at?
A year doing a master's or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think for me, it's being intentional about my saving now. And I think it's taught me it's saving for experiences as opposed to just, that traditional retirement at 60, 65, 70.
Okay. So what's your plan on you're about to do this? So on the kind of ongoing savings front?
So I'll still continue to save while I'm having time off, but I'll reduce it. And the reason I'm able to do that is because the nature of invoices getting paid, even though I'm not technically working that period, there will still be invoices coming in. So it will still allow me to contribute, just at a slightly reduced rate.
So obviously the trick there is to make sure you kick it back up again.
Yes.
When you come back.
Absolutely.
Because it's very easy to get used to contributing, saving less.
Yes.
Very easy.
I'm going to wrap this up by asking you for your kind of number one tip for people thinking about it.
So my biggest tip is you often regret the things you don't do, not the things you do. So
I think save early, and then when you've got a figure in mind of what you want to save a lot more on top of that.
Yeah, that's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, more than saving. Ola.
Just have that goal in mind and have set a financial goal towards that and save accordingly. I think it's great, all good and well saying I want to take a sabbatical, I want to take an early retirement, but not actually know how much you're going to need for that financially. So yeah, set a goal.
So so you're going to Sri Lanka next. Where would it be after?
Maybe Australia, we'll see.
I think Central America.
Yeah, I'm off to the Caribbean in January.
Oh. Okay. I'm not liking Lauren as much as we do. We're all very jealous. Thanks, everyone. That was so interesting.
Thank you.
It was a lovely
Great.
conversation.
If you're enjoying the series, give us a rating and a review. It really helps us reach more listeners like you. And if you've missed an episode, do not worry. You can catch up anytime on your favourite podcast app or YouTube, or if you're a PensionBee customer, in the PensionBee app too. We'll be back in January. In the meantime, we'll be sharing a special bonus episode featuring the best bits from Series 4 over the Christmas break. So stay tuned for that. Just a final reminder that anything discussed on the podcast shouldn't be regarded as financial advice or legal advice, and when investing, your capital is at risk. Thanks for being with us this year. We'll see you next time.